This week on Talking Royals, we're joined by a very special guest who's been telling us all about what it was like to work for the late Queen.
What I was really worried about was trying not to puke over Her Majesty, because I thought that'd be quite career limiting. And I just had to pinch myself thinking, the Queen has just introduced President Obama to me.
Lots of rumours Harry and Meghan are getting binned by Netflix. Don't worry, Chris and Lizzie have the truth of it.
I don't think you can argue that Netflix hasn't got their money's worth out of these two.
And it's time for the summer holes for all of us, and the royals as well. So what do they get up to when they can let their hair down?
Like many British families, the Waleses like to head for the Spanish sun every August.
You know, the machinery of being the monarch still goes on even though you're on holiday.
And why there's never a dull moment covering the royals.
Every time you think you've seen it all, something else happens.
Hello and welcome to Talking Royals. I'm Charlene White, and as ever, joined by Chris and Lizzie, and we have a special guest.
A plus one.
A plus one who arguably, I would say, knows probably twice as much as you do about royal
I would not disagree.
events.
I don't think either of us would
I
disagree
agree
with
too.
that.
It's the absolutely brilliant Ailsa Anderson, who is former press secretary to Queen Elizabeth. Thank you so much for joining us. I do have to do a very big apology. Ailsa's just been complaining about the state of our tea. I'm so sorry.
Not the state of the tea, the fact that she had to make it herself.
And also the state of the tea.
And I had to wait half an hour until I got it. So not royal household standards, Chris, really.
No.
So are you coming back?
No.
Well, if you do, I promise that Chris will delve into his special drawer with the decent tea,
Oh, the tea.
and give you a...
I don't think I want to hear about Chris's special drawer, to be honest.
Right.
Now, Ailsa, for those that don't know, you were the press secretary to the Queen until 2001, from 2001 until the end of 2013.
Yep.
And there have been the stories you've got to tell us today, we have been gripped by since you walked into our newsroom a couple of hours ago. And it's just, you know, jubilees, birthdays, holidays, walks up Balmoral.
Well, even that photo we were seeing there, apparently there's a bit of a story, isn't there?
Oh, my gosh. So that was an investiture. I was given the Royal Victorian Order by the Queen, and I was actually 3 months pregnant. And what I was really worried about was trying not to puke over Her Majesty, because I thought that'd be quite career limiting.
Definitely.
It's quite career limiting.
Did Her Majesty know that you were pregnant at the time? She did know.
She did know, yes. She was very, very kind about it.
What was your relationship like? Because obviously we're on the outside looking in, but you're on the inside. Were you quite close?
You're looking at us.
I am looking at you.
You were looking at the media, yeah.
Yes, but she was the monarch. You know, there wasn't a day that went by when I wasn't, completely bowled over about the job and the privilege that I had with working for her. I mean, she was the most extraordinary human being. And everything you hear about her and you see she was like that. You know, she was incredibly compassionate. It wasn't about self, it was about duty, it was about the nation, it was about the people. And I think what I really found, that even if she went on an engagement which was quite low-key, whether it's an opening of a library, she would always come back and have something to say about it.
Yeah.
You know, whether someone had said something interesting or she'd seen something, or, a curtain had fallen down when she was doing a plaque unveiling. I mean, she always found interesting something about an engagement, which I think is quite extraordinary when you're on the throne for 70 years.
Of course. And you had, you've got kids, and you had kids when the Queen was alive. What's it like for them to have mum working for the Queen? It's got to be crazy to get your head around, right?
Well, I don't think so. I remember, they're more interested. I remember coming home after an event, and my son, Henry, who was only about 8 or 9, had seen me on TV, and he said, "Hi, Mum, saw you on telly, what's for supper?" And that's quite grounding, I think.
We have a picture of that event, don't we? Because this is the event of you having the duty of placing the official notification of someone's birth.
Oh, look at you.
Haven't changed a bit, have I? Really?
Wow.
So this is 2013? Just before you left?
Yeah.
And this is you announcing the birth of Prince George.
Oh, Prince George, that was amazing, yeah.
Who turned 12 this week, so...
Yeah. You have a crazy job, because we can see the flashes of the cameras there, but you must have just been like a sea of both domestic and international cameras just on you to do that one bit.
It was quite...
Was it like, don't drop it, don't drop it,
It was, and it's a historical frame as well. And, of course, we're used to being behind the cameras. You know, we're briefing, we're with the media. We're not used to being in front of the cameras. So it was quite a different role for me. When I was asked for my autograph in Sainsbury's, I thought, I've made it now. That's it.
Oh.
Yeah.
But
Not
made it
even
with
Chris
a person at
gets asked for
Sainsbury's,
his.
but not with your son. Who just
Not with my son, who wants to be fed. Yeah, he hasn't changed.
As you mentioned, Lizzie, it was George's birthday this week, wasn't it?
It was. He turned 12 this week, and for his birthday, Kensington Palace put out on their social media a new photo of him, and then they also posted a sort of behind-the-scenes video of Prince George with his siblings. There he is, and there are the three of them, George, Charlotte and Louis, looking like they're having good fun. And I was actually chatting to somebody the other day who knows the children, and he said they do actually all get on really, really well.
Actually, I was looking at the picture of the three of them holding hands, walking along there, and it looks idyllic. But actually, when they're a little bit older, they'll never get you doing that in front of a camera.
No.
Not a chance.
No. Not at all. It is quite interesting though, isn't it, Ailsa? Because you sort of have a situation where, you know, the William and Kate provide us with pictures and footage of the children on birthdays. It's very different, I imagine, to back in the day where, you know, it was not all access, but the access that the media had to William and Harry, for example, was so different.
Yes.
I mean, all of these pictures are ones that Kensington Palace has released, and really that's all we really get to see of them.
Are we doing guess the age here?
Yeah.
Like sort of age 7 or 9 or 11 or 4, 5, 6, I'm being told. There we go.
And 7, 8, 9.
Oh, is this how it works?
It's in
1,
order.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Wow.
Shockingly, Chris, it's in
That's
order.
remarkable. And
10,
then
11, 12.
And where's the... No, there isn't.
He's not 13.
He just turned 12. So.
Remember
I was
that?
joking, by the way, before anyone messages in and say, what does that guy know?
It's all right. Regular listeners know Lizzie's got the detail. You're the ideas man. But Ailsa, the sort of access that we have is very different now, isn't it, to back in the day?
Absolutely. And of course, we've got social media now. So I think the parents are, I know you would probably argue against this, but quite right to be protective of their children. But I think sort of the drip feeding little and often of the images, of the photographs, I think it's the right balance.
Totally.
No, I completely agree on the privacy for children. Of course, they're at school, and I think we all adhere to that, not only as professionals, but also as human beings. Yeah. I think what child wants to go to school and have photographers hiding in the hedges? Yeah. You know?
No, they are, you know, allowed to sort of grow up as normal children. You know, they share images on their birthday. They are very slowly being introduced to public engagements. But, you know, for the Prince and Princess of Wales, their focus is on giving those children, protecting them, shielding them, allowing them to grow up normally and introducing them slowly to public life, but allowing them for the sort of the main to grow up kind of a normal childhood.
Because obviously, you know, both William and Harry know what the opposite end of that is like. And I think, you know, with both of them becoming parents, there's got to be a part of their minds that's constantly thinking we do not want our children to deal with the things that we had to deal with, because it was a lot, wasn't it, Ailsa?
Yes, absolutely. And it was relentless. So I think they have struck the right balance.
Yeah, even like on the first day of school, you know, when the children went to Lambrook, it was one photographer, one print reporter, one broadcast camera. It was a very, very small group of media. When William and Harry first went to school, the banks of the press were enormous, weren't they?
Yeah. And must be terrifying, especially at that age, to actually be confronted by the banks and banks of photographers asking you to do this, do that, you know, shouting out at you. I mean, it's quite daunting.
But look, let's move on to, talking of Harry and Meghan, and they've got this Netflix deal, haven't they? And it's just been all over the papers, both here and in America, abroad, international press, everything, saying they've been binned by Netflix, their popularity has plummeted and all that sort of stuff. Actually, it's coming to the end of the contract and no one actually knows what's happening, do they, Chris?
No, I mean, they've signed a 5-year contract when they left the royal family, and that was to give Netflix content. Now, arguably, we're looking here at Love Meghan, which was a great success and talked about, but the contract will naturally come to an end at some point. The other content they provided, of course, was a very big talking point, which was that 6-part series about them leaving the royal family. That was hugely watched as well. So I don't think you can argue that Netflix hasn't got their money's worth out of these two. There's been an Invictus one as well, one about polo. But, you know, the contract's going to come to an end. If they're in negotiations for what happens next, Well, no one's going to talk about that, are they? It's to do with Netflix's own, finances. It's to do with what Harry and Meghan do or do not want to do. So they're in contract negotiations. So we wait to find out what happens next.
I mean, we do know that as ever, there will be a second series of With Love Meghan in the autumn. But Netflix have also partnered with As Ever. They're brand partners. So they do have that ongoing.
So it's financially in their interest for As Ever to be a huge success. As you were saying out in the newsroom earlier, you can't get hold of any of the products because they've all sold out. That sold out. That might be because they are, restricting the supply, as clever businesses sometimes do. But you can't argue that it's not being a great success for her at the moment.
And also, the reality is, when it comes to the press and the royals, there'll always be a section of the media who will make stories out of not very much and sources that have no connection to the royal family whatsoever.
Absolutely. Oh my golly, the amount of people who are pretending to be royal commentators or experts in the royal field, and I look at them and I think, have you ever actually met a member of the royal family or not? But yeah, absolutely.
But it sells papers in it, and it does well.
I was a bit worried you were going to say like these two. Never met a member of the royal family, don't know what they're talking about.
Right.
Never.
Luckily you didn't, but I was really expecting it to come.
You guys got a very interesting update on something we were talking about last week, the Peace Summit, which you called...
Coffee morning.
The coffee morning.
Yes.
We've got an update
I've
on
heard that
the coffee morning.
It's viewed that the coffee morning is a more accurate description than Peace
Did it not
Summit.
happen in the afternoon?
Yeah, okay, but apart from the time of day thing, it was, I call it 3 press officers had coffee rather than a peace summit. But I just think it's so overblown. But, the two sides are still talking to one another.
So anyone who didn't see it last week, explain what we're talking about.
So this is the meeting that happened between the most senior communication official at Buckingham Palace, Tobin Andre, and 2 members of staff from Harry and Meghan's office, Meredith Maines and Liam Maguire. They are senior communications people on their team. They had a meeting in a fancy private members club in St James's in London, and it was photographed and put on the front page of the Mail on Sunday. Now, if one of the side had leaked it and the other one was really unhappy, or vice versa, well, they're still talking to each other now. So it kind of suggests that either they don't mind that it was leaked, or that neither of them leaked it and they were literally followed to that location, which we know that the paparazzi is still sometimes capable of doing. But the two sides are still talking to one another, despite that story appearing in the Mail on Sunday, which then lets you project ahead to September when Harry's here, and whether or not, of course, he will meet his dad in the 3-4 days that he's here in the UK.
Oh. As somebody said to me this week, I mean, for both sides, was it bad for either side to have come together? It looks good on both of them, right?
It does, yeah.
So, they're opening up a channel of communication, and even if that's just, letting the other side know what each are doing. So, not telling them, asking them for permission, but just a kind sort of, polite, this is what we're doing, this is what we're up to, communicating.
Yeah.
So even if we've got to that stage, it's some sort of progress. But it'll be really interesting to see come September when Prince Harry's here for his Well Child Awards, whether they meet.
And obviously, that time of September is around the time we now call Accession Day. It used to be, of course, in February the 6th, when the Queen was always at Sandringham. But Accession Day now is the day of the accession of the current monarch, and that was the 8th of September. So Carrie could well be in the UK for that. So anyway, I'm going to call it afternoon tea rather than coffee morning.
So when the press secretaries went for afternoon tea. Bit wordy, but we'll go with it. For what our listeners and viewers won't know is that today's our last episode until September, because we are taking a bit of a break for the summer holidays, like the royals do, because they often take a break over the summer. The Queen would often be up at Balmoral, for example, with you. So it got me thinking about holidays and the royal family and holidays and the access we used to have and the access that we no longer have. But you used to do a lot of the summer with the Queen, didn't you, up at Balmoral?
I did indeed, yes. I've been on those infamous picnics where the Queen dons her rubber gloves and does the washing up afterwards.
Wow.
But it's very relaxed. It's very different to sort of the London vibe. People dress more casually. People feel much more able to go for long walks, to take a bit of time out. And the late Queen was absolutely at home there. She absolutely loved it.
And look, this is, oh gosh,
Do you remember
this? One of the last pictures of her.
Well, this was an image that they released on the day that the Queen was buried. So at the end of her funeral at Westminster Abbey, and then her coffin was taken to Windsor, and she's now in St George's Chapel. Buckingham Palace released this picture of the Queen in her beloved Balmoral, and that was the very last image they released on that day.
And this image is this one that they released when Prince Philip passed?
They did, yeah. There's the late Queen and Prince Philip in Scotland, and it was somewhere they really, really loved going. And the King and Queen now, Charles and Camilla, they still love going there. They go to Birk Hall quite regularly. We will see the royal family, as usual, go up there over the summer, and lots of different members of the family. I'm sure we'll see up there.
Now, what some of our non-UK listeners, viewers may not really be able to get their head around where Balmoral is concerned. So the Queen did come across regular members of the public on her walks, didn't she?
And in fact, the Queen told me I think the most hilarious story of her walking on the Balmoral estate. And it's quite stark, isn't it? It's and
it's very Scottish and mountainous.
It's very Scottish.
Yes.
She was funny that being as Scotland.
How very dare you? So she's walking with her protection officer, and walking towards her were a group of American tourists. And these tourists stopped them and said, "Have either of you met the Queen before? This is her estate."
Said that to the Queen?
Said that to the Queen. And the Queen, quick as a flash, pointed to her protection officer and said, "Well, he has." And these American tourists said, oh my God, here's our camera. Would you mind taking a photograph of us with him?
No.
And they handed the Queen their camera, and she took the photograph. She loved that story, clearly.
I mean, I suppose the Queen must have loved it whenever anyone didn't recognise her, because that must have been so rare. But also, there's always, the holidays were not just about Balmoral and climbing up Loch Mick or going for barbecues and things. It was also for just wandering around Ballater and able to go in and out of the shops like a kind of normal person. I'm sure she had protection with her.
Could she?
Just to go into the butchers and buy some meat, and everyone in Ballater didn't ever... they didn't bat an eye. Like, they just went, oh, it's the Queen, we'll serve her, because they valued that their community gave her the privacy that she needed in those summer months.
But it may be she is on holiday, but she's still head of state, so she'll still be doing her red boxes every day. She still hosts the Prime Minister for the weekend. She will see other heads of states. I mean, the machinery of being the monarch still goes on, even though you're on holiday.
Well, yeah, I think that's something that people won't always realise. If any one of us were to go away, I don't know, for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, or what have you, we can sort of turn our out of office on and completely log off from work. But it doesn't work that way when you're head of state, does it?
No, absolutely. And she will take, obviously, her staff with her. So there'll be a rotation of staff through the 8 or 9 weeks she's in Scotland. But she can have that more and sort of be herself rather than be the Queen, I suppose. And someone said to me, when she passes through the gates of Balmoral, she sort of hangs her crown on the gateposts.
That's a really nice way of putting it, isn't it? Me and Lizzie went there a few years ago, and it was...
What, as a couple?
Yes. We went on, actually, luckily, because, there were many places where the Queen could have passed, and obviously Balmoral was one of them. We thought we'd never been, we should go see the place. And you, as a member of the public, we didn't have any press access, but you're able to see a bit of the castle. You're able to see the ballroom where they held the Gillies Ball. But then we went on this Land Rover tour around the actual estate, so they were pointing out, there's the bothy that so-and-so stayed, and this is where Prince Philip did this, and along here that, Prince Charles wants to load more trees because he's worried about the river eroding, and you get a really good sense of actually how invested the whole family are in that area. But it's vast, isn't it?
The sense of space and freedom, really? And the peace as well that you get there. It's you could see why they love going there so much.
And the other fact is that every single vegetable that's planted there is planted to be to come to life, whatever vegetable does, picked, when the royal family is staying there. And all the flowers are planted so that they're in their best bloom when the royal family is staying there. So they time it so brilliantly that Balmoral just looks amazing while they're there.
And of course you've got the history, because Queen Victoria went to Balmoral when Prince Albert died, and she found real solace in that beautiful, beautiful landscape.
He bought it for her, didn't he? And then the other interesting story about Balmoral is the fact that it's not the original castle, because Prince Albert came along and said, yep, I like that one, bought it, too small, knocked it down and built a new one. So the lawn in front of Balmoral was where the old castle was.
And so what we'll see
I do that with houses all the time.
All the time. all the time.
The castle will be closed to the public sort of mid-August, and at that point there'll be the traditional welcome ceremony that there is outside the gates, where the monarch is sort of traditionally welcomed to the castle, and then they will move into the castle for the rest of the summer before they come back to work in the autumn.
Well, we love a little bit of tradition. I mean, none of us, I don't think, are going to be decamping to Balmoral for the summer, unfortunately. But the royal family...
Have you not had your invite?
No. Funnily enough, must have got lost in the post.
I don't tell people when I go there for my own privacy.
Either that or it's just gone straight to my junk mail. But, in terms of other members of the royal family, they will also be going away. But the difference, as we were just saying earlier, difference between now to, many years ago is we no longer have access to the royal family, younger members of the royal family, when they do go away. And if we have a look at this clip, this is from 1988. This is when Princess Diana and Prince Charles went to Mallorca with the Spanish royal family. Let's take a look.
Like many British families, the Waleses like to head for the Spanish sun every August. And while they're spared the airport delays and half-built hotels, their holiday nightmare is the world's press. An army of royal watchers are drawn each year to catch Europe's two most glamorous families on the same doorstep. And each year they're given this photo opportunity in the fond hope that after it they'll go away and leave them in peace. Well, that's the idea anyway.
Those women, I know we're talking about like banks of photographers, taking pictures of them, but that is just to a whole generation, a whole new generation of younger people. The thought of that happening when small children on holiday is unfathomable.
Yeah. But that used to happen a lot, didn't it? Because actually, we think William and Kate are away at the moment, and we won't say where. But the idea is that they're allowed to go away on holiday, and there aren't paps trying to get pictures of them. But there was a time when it was arranged. So here is your holiday photo, the skiing one.
Skiing, exactly. Yeah. And with the hope that people would leave them alone to enjoy their holiday if they had that one photo call at the beginning.
Inevitably turned out to be a bit of a false hope.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And what was that like for you, Ailsa, to sort of, be a part of the team that sort of got to arrange all that stuff? And at what moment in the holiday will they do their photograph, and when will they do this and all of that?
It's all a bit of negotiation. You try and get the photograph out of the way at the beginning so they can enjoy the rest of the holiday. And we all have a job to do. And I'm an ex-journalist, so I understand the pressures that you guys have to deliver. But then I've got to protect the family who I work for as well. Yeah. So it's a real balancing act.
No, the Waleses now, when they are on school holidays, Kate and William, we tend not to see them on public engagements, although William this weekend is going to see the Lionesses in the final.
He can't miss that.
But they don't
interrupting his holiday to go there.
They don't tend to do public engagements during the children's holiday. That is their time, that's their family time, and they are really precious about that and protect it, and they want to spend that time privately as a family.
I wonder whether that will change when he becomes monarch.
Yeah,
and will he go to Balmoral as well? I mean, you don't get the same sense that William and Kate are connected to Balmoral in the way that the current king and the late Queen were. Agreed. So, I mean, they might not go there as often or for as long.
But isn't that, how things might change when he becomes monarch? It's sort of, at this point, it's like how long is a piece of string? And I suppose it's about protecting them for as long
as possible,
possible, and give them a sense of normality. Because once he takes on that role, one can assume that everything changes, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And they're still little. I mean, George is, as we said, 12. Louis is only 7. So it is allowing them to grow up.
Actually, there was a lot of chat around his birthday about where he's going to school and whether he will follow his father to Eton, which is just down the road from where they live, or whether all the kids will go to Marlborough, where Kate went, and obviously Marlborough is co-ed or mixed now, so
or whether they'll do something,
could go there, or they could go
to do something different altogether.
Yeah, and also that will change the way that he's grown up, which is very different to how his father has. Because if he goes co-ed, I always think that if you have been at school with girls your entire education, sometimes the way you look at women can be very different. I think because you're used to being with them every day. So that would be a huge change. But also they've always gone along their own path anyway, haven't they?
Yeah, that's what they have been very clear on, is that they're always going to do what is best for the children. They're not going to do things just because that was what was done in the past. You look at the school choices up until now. They're at Lambrook. That's not where the royal family have traditionally sent children. They went to Battersea before that. So the children, it is what is best for them.
And Lambrook likes a lot of that learning outside, getting your hands dirty,
forest school
stuff. So which is what Kate promotes herself.
Yes, yeah. Parents love a bit of forest school. Get dirty somewhere else. That's not in my house.
Yes, yeah. And do all your art and painting there.
All there, and then you can be clean when you come home.
Do you think it depends on the children's personalities as well? I mean, one might be arty, one might be sporty, one might be good at history. So you choose a school.
Dare I say it, look at William and Harry, very different personalities. Look at George and Louis.
Main character energy.
Main character energy, as you said last week, very different personality. So maybe, perhaps, for example, George would be happy at Eton, but Louis would much rather go somewhere else. Yeah. Famously, Prince Charles didn't really want to go to Gordonston, but his father, who went there up in the very north of Scotland, decided that's where he should go. So.
But as we have always maintained throughout this, and you always reiterate, Lizzie, as they have always done their own thing. I mean, it's quite an interesting job that you had in the first place, sort of being behind the scenes in the palace. And I imagine that when it came to things like state dinners and what have you, were you with the Queen when she was working out, I don't know, okaying the menu, okaying the setting?
Yeah, she could. I mean, she could spot a fork that was in the wrong place through 100 paces, or a flower that was wilting. She was. Those state visits were absolutely extraordinary. And I remember President Obama's state visit, the first one, and we were in a pre-lunch reception with him and the Queen, and I could see out of the corner of my eye the Queen walking towards sort of our group, and I thought, I wonder who the Queen is introducing him to. And she came over and she said, Mr. President, this is my press secretary. Her husband served in the Navy, and he started chatting to me about military, and you just think, what an incredibly generous thing and gift that the Queen has just given to me. And I just had to pinch myself thinking, the Queen has just introduced President Obama to me. That's a bit sort of...
That's
pretty special.
Yeah, that's pretty special. I always tell the story that I made President Obama laugh once. So that's...
Are you sure it was you?
It was definitely
Was it at you or with you?
Well, it was at a press conference when he was in the UK. I was a political journalist at the time, and I was the first person to ask a question. The question everyone wanted to ask is, if the UK votes for Brexit, would we go to the back of the line? So that phrase that he said, the UK would go to the back of the queue, were you to vote for Brexit, came from my question. But the question started off with a funny joke about everyone saying you should not stick your nose into our affairs, and he laughed.
I think he's trying to trump your story.
Oh.
I'll get my coat.
He really was, though.
He really was.
Yeah.
No, I think I
don't even think Ailsa even finished telling.
That's much better.
And then you interrupted her. Can't do that to guests, Chris.
And I didn't get a cup of tea either.
But back to the
tea.
Really not going very well. But I just think it's such... I feel like it must be such a privilege for you to have been in the environment that you were in. I mean,
such a privilege.
We see it from a whole different perspective. And it's even little things when you said the Queen could tell if a flower was wilted. The attention to detail is incredible.
But also, she was hosting people in her house. And every hostess wants to give people the best experience they possibly can have. Yeah. So she may have been monarch, but she was hosting a dinner party for 170 people.
Just the cool 170
on a 50-metre long table.
Small.
And of course, there's another one coming up, another state banquet coming up in September for Mr. Trump, who's actually in town or in the UK this weekend, but on a private visit to his golf courses. And there's an interesting story in itself, because we were told a little while ago that the King and the President were not able to align their diaries, so they weren't able to have this private meeting before the state visit in September. Well, Donald Trump's in Scotland for Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, so a good 4 days. This time last year, the King was also in Scotland, up in the Castle of May. You wonder why those diaries couldn't have been aligned if they're in the same part of the world.
I don't play
That's
golf.
a question I would put to a press officer if one was available.
You may speculate. I couldn't possibly comment.
But did you have to sort of deal with those sticky situations?
I have to deal with him all the time, honestly. I'm only 21, but he's aged me terribly.
Luckily, actually, our paths never crossed, did they? I think you'd left before I'd arrived.
I heard you
He heard you were coming,
Ailsa breathed.
She got out quickly.
There was a reason for that, yes.
Now, I'm going to talk about Oh, tattoos and Queen Camilla.
Tattoo.
Has Queen Camilla
Are you
been
going to show
getting
us a tattoo, or are you saying
No,
okay?
No, we're not getting
What I
naked.
love about this job, and you must have seen this all the time, Ailsa, is that every time you think you've seen it all, something else happens. You must, and actually, I think that's what the royals really love, is actually the unexpected. They go on
Shall
so
we see
many
this video
engagements.
first? Let's show what we're talking about. So here's the Queen. She is in the Sandringham Flower Show, and oh look, there's a leg. And if you can't tell what's on that leg, there is a photo which shows it more clearly. The ciphers of, from bottom to top,
Wow.
Elizabeth II, Charles III, Queen Camilla, and the new one, as he told the Queen, the joint cipher of Charles and Camilla. There we go.
Wow.
Who hasn't got that on their leg?
Wow. I would hope if he's got children, he's also got his children tattooed somewhere on his body.
Well, we can't. This is what left legs. We can't see the right leg,
Yeah.
so maybe yes, his wife and children.
Yeah.
The others.
But he has left a gap there, which is very interesting.
Ooh.
There is a gap there for one more.
There's a whole nother leg.
Yeah, but if he's going to do like the full run, I
Okay.
feel like the gap's there on purpose.
William and Catherine?
For William and Catherine, I think that's
So
why
that
he's
would be,
done
hold
that.
on, W5R, William V. He'll be.
Yeah.
So
I feel like, yeah. What's the most weird and wonderful thing that you've seen from...
I think that
That,
has
really?
been the most weird and wonderful thing I've ever seen. But people are amazing. It's lovely seeing people coming out and sharing their stories with the royal family, and the royal family would dine out on that.
She found that very funny.
It's hilarious.
turned to one of her police protection officers and said, "Oh, look, it's catching on. You've got one of those." And we couldn't work out. You have a tattoo, simply just a tattoo. He might have had one done recently, or you've got the Camilla cipher.
Interesting.
It's probably the former rather than the latter, I would have thought. But
Otherwise,
this-
questions would be asked.
But then also it makes me want to ask you if you had a cipher tattooed on your person.
I can confirm I have not had
Okay.
a
A
A
cipher.
Talking Royals exclusive. There's no tattoo.
not Prince Philip's, not the late
No
Queen's.
piercings, no tattoos yet.
Yet.
There's always time. There's always time for rebellion at some point in your life.
Oh, so I think I'm rather disappointed there.
Sorry. I could have one over my head, maybe.
By the time you return to this podcast in the future, and I'm sure you will, I expect to have something.
Only if you go first.
She,
Oh,
she will be scarred in
challenge.
other ways from being on this podcast.
Yes.
So-
maybe. Well, Ailsa, it's been really lovely to have you.
Thank
on,
you.
And
It's
your
been
insight
great.
and your, I don't know, there's something about us telling a story, but you telling a story when
Well, he
you have
certainly told a
lived it.
story.
Yeah.
I'd say that her stories were the best.
Yeah, and your
So,
stories have been the best. So thank you.
I have many more.
Yeah, and we will definitely be having you back without
come
a
back and
shadow
share
of a
some more.
doubt.
I will.
Yeah,
Thank you.
but as I said, this is our last episode. So, Chris,
For the summer.
For the summer, sorry, last episode for the summer.
Yeah.
Because it's pointless talking about the royal family if they're on the holidays. So we're back in September. Chris and Lizzie, it's been a joy for this series. I'm looking forward to having us all back together from September when we will have some very exciting news. I've asked if we can reveal it today, but we've been told that we're not allowed. Yeah, but trust me, it's juicy. So make sure you join us again in September, where we will be able to reveal all. And if you can't wait till then, you can have a look through our back catalogue, where we've got a range of royal topics. So make sure that you go to wherever you get your podcasts, or take a look on ITVX or on YouTube. But until September, have a wonderful summer. Bye.